A lot of people, after working 40 hours a week, are still struggling to pay bills. That should literally be illegal. Hey you guys, thank you so much for tuning in for yet another video. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Jentayah. And if you're new, thank you so much for clicking on this video. I appreciate it so much. I make videos about lifestyle, motherhood, and mental health. And today we're kind of just gonna be, I just decided that I wanted to come on here and just have like I just felt like pouring my heart out and my annoyances with the world out today. So that's what I'm gonna be doing in this video. So disclaimer, if you are the type of person who is very sensitive to videos that talk about like reality and the faults of reality and the government and stuff like that, and like it makes you go into like a whirlwind of like how fucked up the world is, and that can make you depressed or anything of the sort, this video is not for you. Because I know sometimes for me, when I watch like videos that expose the truth about like our systems and everything like that, sometimes it gets so overwhelming and just makes me think like, what's the point of life? If you're one of those people who get into those kind of headspaces, this video is not for you, and that is okay. So click off, go watch something else, some ASMR, a vlog or something like that. And of course, you know, I always got my handy dandy notes. So if you see me looking over, that's what I'm looking at. All right, so I wanted to start by talking a little bit about my job. I can't say too much because HIPAA. I'm a case manager. I work in mental health. I think the only thing I can really say is I work with individuals with severe and persistent mental illnesses. And I work for a nonprofit as well. So if you know anything about the world of nonprofits and case management and social work in general, very underpaid fields, extremely underpaid fields. I won't get into how much I make. We're not gonna talk about that. But yeah, there's just, everybody knows, or if you don't know, now you do. Everybody knows that case managers, social workers in general, the work that we have to do is not compensated with the pay that we receive. Because it's just, especially working in mental health, I can't even imagine what it's like working as a case manager in substance abuse, or even with children. It's any one of these fields. Just the amount of work and emotional toll that it takes to have to work at these jobs is a lot. And sometimes it makes me think, am I ready to be going to school to get my master's so that I can become a therapist? Because it's a lot to sit for about 8 hours a day and take in the traumas of multiple people, and to have to help these individuals through the trauma that they've gone through and hear these crazy stories. And you know the evils of the world, but working in these fields, you see and hear about the evils of the world daily. And it can be a lot. It really can be a lot. And as I said, like, it's just not compensated by the work that we have to do. Just talking from the worker point of this, it's amazing that they have these nonprofits that cater to the community and are for low-income individuals. For my job, we have very affordable services and resources available to them, some for no charge, so that they can get the help that they need. Jobs are just exploitative of people's time, their workers' time. You have no incentive for being at the job a lot of the time, because as I said, like, not just in social work, but a lot of the jobs that they have available, it just requires so much of you for not that great pay. Especially living in Southeast Georgia. Georgia is a relatively cheap state to live in, and so therefore the pay in this state is not that well. because, you know, it goes with the cost of living. So these leave systems are terrible, but the way that you get leave at these jobs is not always the greatest. And if you do have a job that has the good pay, has the good hours, has the great leave, it's usually a hard labor job that is crazy when it comes to your attendance at the job and like being there and making sure you're there on time. So like you have that, so a lot of these jobs, like I used to work at a production plant for food. I'm not going to be too specific in it. And they were so harsh when it came to leave. So I believe like if you were late for one, I think you would get wrote up by your supervisor, and like within like the first 2 times you being late. And then they started exactly work at 8 o'clock. So you had to be on your line at 8 o'clock. And if you weren't, you were going to get in trouble. You'd have to go to the office and get like a late slip or something like that. And then you could come back to line. But usually after like so many latenesses, which I think was like 5 of them, then you were going to get suspended. And that means that you were going to get sent home for however many days with no pay. And the crazy part is this, like, you know, they have the breakfast there, or like the area that people usually like kind of congregate in. I'm just going to say congregate for lack of a better word, but the area that people kind of congregate in, and then like putting on the stuff that you need to put on to get to, before you can get to your line, took about 10 minutes. And some jobs don't do overtime pay. So the way that some of these companies have found out a way to not pay people for overtime is by doing something called comp hours. So in the comp hours system, whatever you have worked over in hours, you basically get to use that as kind of like PTO, but it's just you're not getting paid for it. So say I worked a 43-hour week. That means that I have 3 hours of comp time because it's over 40 hours. And after that week, I get to use those 3 hours at another point in a different week in order to just take that time off. So I worked that 43 hours. So next week, if I decided that I wanted to leave work an hour early, 3 days, I could do that. But it's just going to look like I still only worked that 40 hours. I'm not getting really no paid PTO for that. And then once they have these comp hour systems, they don't even want you to accumulate comp hours. So again, working in a field like social work, the amount of work that you have to do, like you have to see these people and then you have to like write up notes on them, and it's in other forms of clerical work that's in the background of the services that you provide. And it just sometimes the time that you have to actually sit down to do that clerical work is just not enough in a week for you to get everything done that you need to get done on top of everything else that you need to do. A lot of people, after working 40 hours a week, are still struggling to pay bills. That should literally be illegal, because even if it's $7.25 an hour, like the absolute minimum wage, should be able to get a job and work 40 hours a week and be able to pay their bills, living in a decent place, having all of their necessities without having to bargain what bill's going to get paid this month, what bill's not going to get paid this month, or what bill's going to be paid late. And in a nice neighborhood, in a neighborhood where other people were able to have those resources as well. But unfortunately, we don't see that. And it's sad. And a lot of people tend to think that if those $7.25 an hour jobs are meant for high schoolers, and that high schoolers shouldn't have like a need for having to make money to survive on their own. But that is with the idea that a high schooler has supportive parents who are going to pay for the things that they need and want, and that they don't have to contribute to bills. That's with that assumption. And unfortunately, that's not the case for everybody. Not everybody is able to be 17 or 16 and be in high school and not have to worry about anything. Because for a lot of people, once they hit that age, 16, and they're able to get out and get a job, their parents might be rushing them out the door to apply at every place, pressuring them to get a job at that age because they feel like at that point they shouldn't have to do as much monetarily for that child because they can work for themselves. And then some parents will require that money from that the child makes from a job to help out with bills around the house. I personally believe that if you are a parent who is not struggling, and even if you are, just at that age that's so young, like they're barely figuring out the world, they're barely figuring out what a job is, W-2s, taxes, like all of that information, I think that you should help your child at that point and not require anything of them like that. I personally have known a 15-year-old who was helping with rent. Like, that is wild to me. I think that those are just some crucial ages where we're still trying to figure ourselves out and we're new and like coming up into adulthood. And at those ages, a lot of people, and sometimes even younger, are just thrown into it. And I know that it's sometimes because of circumstances. But yeah, so once you hit like 16 to 18, that's the age where you're being pressured to get a job. And at that point, some parents are like, oh, well, you got a job, so you can afford everything that you want. And you don't need me to do anything for you. So they just worry about the big bills, and anything that you want or need, sometimes they just leave that completely up to you. And as I said, I don't agree with that. So also, not all high schoolers, again, have both parents in the home. And if they're not in like a low income situation where they are dealing with a family who can't really afford everything that they need or want, they might be in an abusive family situation. And a high schooler, somebody who is 16, 17, 18 or younger, well, 16 is the legal age for work, we're going to stick with that. So 16, 17, 18, in that age range, somebody should be able to go get a job somewhere and make a living off of 40 hours a week and not have to worry about something not being paid for or anything like that. That's just so wild to me. And the fact that people don't consider these kind of things when they make like such general statements like, well, what does a high schooler need that much money for, and it's only meant for high schoolers, like, sometimes they have big purchases. Like, some parents make their kids buy their own cars, or don't have the means for their kids, or don't have the means to help their kids buy a car, so their kid has to save up their money to buy their own car. And what can you do off of $150 a week? If sometimes you gotta buy your own school clothes, you gotta buy your own food, and you gotta pay for transportation if you live in a city, depending on the school. Because some schools, like when I was living in New York, they gave us students passes for the MTA. So got Metro cards for like, I think half of the school year or a whole school year, I don't remember. But and you got to ride for free, but only during certain hours. So say you had an after school job or a weekend job, you wouldn't be able to use your bus passes or your MTA passes then, because it was only meant for school hours. So they found a way for them to not have to pay for you wanting to go other places. But yeah, so you have to pay for all these other things off of $150 a week. What's that? Just some quick math. $600 a month. That's what some adults make in a week. And they couldn't fathom making that in a month. Like, what are you going to be able to do with that? And yeah, 40 hours a week, everybody should be able to make a decent pay off of that if they're having to work that much. Then, to top all that off, after working 40 hours a week, sometimes you just do not have the energy to do anything else. Like, people, LLC Twitter, loves to say, oh yeah, the same 24 hours in a day as Jay-Z, Beyonce, P. Diddy, all these millionaires. And I saw a tweet the other day, and I hope I can find it so I can put it right here. That said that no, you don't have the same 24 hours in a day as Beyonce, because Beyonce has staff. And I had a conversation with my fiance, just pointing out the fact that, like, that was the most true thing that I had ever heard. We don't have the same 24 hours in a day. I was pointing it out to him, like, this makes so much sense, because these folks are able to literally, if they decide that they wanted to take a whole entire month to just work, they could do that. They would know that their bills are going to get paid. They would know that they don't have to worry about laundry, don't have to worry about cooking a meal, they don't have to worry about cleaning up their house. They can hire a maid, they can hire a chef, they can hire a nanny, they can hire all these people to do everything that normal people, we don't have the option to choose to not do. We have to do those things because we don't have the means to outsource some of this stuff. So all that time that they would be spending at the house, cleaning up, cooking meals, washing laundry, taking care of their kids, they wouldn't have to do that because they have the money to not have to. So that frees up so much time. So I was pointing it out to him, if he decided that if we were millionaires and he decided that he wanted to literally take a trip and work for a month or a week straight on music, he could do that because he would not have to worry about anything in the house, because he would know that he would come back to a house that meals are being cooked in, bills being paid, the lights still gonna be on, that laundry was already done and folded and put up while he was gone, the house was cleaned up. Like, he wouldn't have to worry about none of that because it was already done. And so I just wish that some people would stop saying, oh, you have the same 24 hours in a day as a millionaire, because we don't. And we are struggling to do the daily basic needs and tasks of regular people. But the push to come home after working 40 hours a week, a lot of people, that's a 5-day week. Some people it's not, but even then, just being able to have the energy to do anything extra after that it feels impossible. Because you come home after work, especially a job working in mental health where it can be very mentally and emotionally draining. Sometimes you just come home after hearing all those stories and dealing with everything that you deal with and just want to just lay down in peace and not do anything. You don't want to worry about building a side hustle. You don't want to have to worry about anything involving anything extra than taking a shower, eating, maybe scrolling on some social media, and going to bed. It's hard. I personally have obviously managed to find a way and time to do this. Luckily, having a very supportive partner who allows me the time to do these things that I need to do to try to build up other streams of income. And I try to do the same for him. But not everybody has that luxury. And so, topping all of that off, so just thinking about everything that I've said so far and thinking about folks who have kids. Again, I'm in that category. I don't know how I do it, y'all. I really don't know how I do it. But I just be pushing through. That's all I can say. I really just be pushing through. Even when I'm crazy tired, I just be pushing through. But people who have kids, you come home from your 40-hour-a-week job. Then you go and grab your kid from daycare or school, or they are already home as you're getting home from work. And you have to be a mom or you have to be a dad. And there goes the rest of your energy. I'll tell you that. There goes the rest of your energy because, as I said, working in mental health, I can only speak from this perspective because, this is my first 40-hour week. No, it's not. I had another 40-hour week job, but I definitely could not see being a parent with a young child like how I am now at that old 40-hour week job. But yeah, you just don't have the energy to do any extra stuff like work out or really plan out a nice vegan or healthy meal. A lot of stuff is built on convenience. A lot of stuff is built on what's going to save you time and what everybody can get into cohorts with to build a routine. So me and my fiance have like a schedule that we built on how chores are gonna go, who's cooking, who's not cooking, which really does help. But some days, and I can say like last week was one of those weeks where I just wanted to buy food, like order out every single day. That was my day to cook, because sometimes, as I said, after work you just are exhausted, and I don't want to think about food while I'm at work. Like, I don't know what I want to eat, and then the idea of coming home to having to cook something is so unappealing. So it's so quick and so easy to just go grab a meal from the store or order at a restaurant and have it delivered or whatever, than to actually have to sit here and think about what you're gonna make a meal of and what you want to put together and how long it's going to take. Sometimes that's a lot of thinking that you just don't want to have to do. And on Instagram, when I was scrolling one day, I saw this very well detailed post about billionaires and how they hoard wealth. And it really conceptualized those numbers for us, because they talked about how as people, we don't really fathom how much $1 billion truly is, because like that number is a number that's never going to be attainable. And I'm going to put the post right here. There's so many slides though, so I'm going to link the Instagram post down below in the description box. So if you're interested in the breakdown of billionaires and how that wealth is ridiculous that they have, look down below and I'll have it there. So thinking about it, like the fact that the way these countries work is off of debt and false money that they just print out into, and that's what causes inflation and all this other stuff. But also in this post, another fact that they posted was that the top 10 billionaires could end homelessness, because it would take about $20 billion to end homelessness and world hunger. And out of the top billionaires, they could do this and still have $386 billion between them. It's going to take a regular person 6,074 years to reach $1 billion. But these people, 1 billion. But these people would still, after curing world hunger and homelessness, would still have 386 billion amongst them. That's wild. Mind-blowing. This whole post just really just blew my mind, and I just had to keep reading. Like, this is just so crazy to me. And 3 of the top billionaires are brothers and sisters. Walmart. So I say all this to say, people should work less and get paid more. Nobody should have to work 40 hours a week, be struggling to pay their bills. And I feel like everybody deserves to enjoy the luxuries and adventures that are available in life. I feel like everybody should be able to go on a Tulum vacation, a Cabo vacation, go see Dubai and some of these amazing art museums in the world, go see the Great Wall of China. These are all places that I want to go, by the way. But everybody should be able to enjoy the beauty that the earth has to offer. So I think I don't want to work at all, honestly, but I remember like every time we get a 3-day weekend at my job, like I'm so happy. So having a 3-day work week and 4 days off, higher pay, I think that'd be beautiful. So if you stuck around for this long, thank you so much for watching. And if this isn't the first video of mine that you watched, go ahead and click that subscribe button and stay tuned for more. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.